5:40. I'd like to call the meeting to order on Thursday, December 10th, Scituate Council on Aging Board. I know everyone can see each other, but as always, we'll at least walk around the screen and introduce ourselves. I'm J.B. Miller, the board chair. Somebody go left or right or down, or I'm not sure who's next to who.
I'm Janice Desmond, board co-chair.
Janice Lindblom, board member.
Leslie?
Pat Carlton, new board member.
Laurie Brady, new board member.
Marie Fricker, new board member.
Welcome.
Wow.
Barbara
Marie.
McFadden, associate member.
Sorry.
And Leslie just moved.
Leslie, are you gonna?
Joan Powers, Leslie on South Shore Elderly Services.
I lost track. I was getting Susan in. Linda Hayes, director of the Senior Center.
Leslie, you wanna check in? We can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
She has no mic.
You're muted somehow.
And there's Susan. Hi, Susan.
You're
Hi,
muted.
sorry I'm late. I was in another meeting.
Okay. We just got started, so we're just walking around. So welcome everyone. I again wanted to extend greetings to our new members. We have Pat Carlton, who's officially taking a seat on the board, and then Laurie Brady and Marie Frickert. And Laurie, I know we sort of did a brief intro with you last week, but Marie, maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself in 30 seconds and introduce yourself to the rest of the board.
Well, my daughter was the best friend of Janice Desmond's daughter for all of their childhood years. So I've known Janice a long time. She asked me if I'd be interested in joining the group, and I said I would. I'm a realtor now with Coldwell Banker, and I'm also a writer. I edit the the little paper that you see in stores and stuff that's called South Shore Senior News. I do that.
I advertise in that.
Oh, do you?
I advertise.
Oh, really? Yeah. I do the front page article usually, and I edit all of the columns that are in there. So, yeah, so I thought this was a perfect fit. And I just recently became a senior specialist in real estate. So I thought this would really all just mesh together really nicely.
Marie.
Well, I'm very happy to be here.
Well,
Thank you.
Good, very good. So wait, are you in Coldwell Banker in Scituate or
Yes, yeah,
surrounding town?
Scituate. Although all of my deals, and I've had 3 deals that will close within 2 weeks from now, my first deals, they're all in other towns, Dedham, Franklin, and Weymouth. These are just people that happen to know me and wanted to do business, but I'm looking for some deals in Scituate. A lot less hard on my car and myself going back and forth.
Well,
Yeah, especially where I lease my vehicle.
I like the fact that you got deals pending, let alone regardless.
I do.
of
I'm
where they
very
are.
excited. I know.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
That's a
Thank
good thing.
you.
Well, welcome.
Thanks.
Well, what we wanted to do, you've all got the agenda, and I know we need to go through, maybe we should go through minutes and just approve our November minutes here briefly. So if everybody could take a second to, not a second maybe, but a minute or two. They were very well done.
They were.
Susan, thank you.
Thank you.
If anyone wants to take a brief moment to review minutes, any comments, edits, changes that need to be made, and we'll pass those. So you take a quick minute to just take a look at the minutes.
I read them already.
Does anyone have any comments, edits, changes to November minutes? Could I have a motion to approve the November minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
And a second?
Second.
Very good, thank you. Minutes approved. I know most of you should probably have gotten a heads up on this, but it's kind of time to transition a little bit in terms of the board executive team, quote unquote. So I will be continuing on the board of on the Council on Aging board, but we will be stepping down as the chair. We want to elicit and solicit ideas, discussions, nominations for chairman, vice chairman, and secretary tonight. I welcome any and all discussion, at least for a few minutes, on any of this. So if anybody has anything they would like to start with, I'd be welcome to hear. I would, as I think I've stated publicly, like to formally nominate Janice Desmond as the new chair, but I need a second and we need a vote for that. But I'd like to make any other comments around or hear any other comments or nominations for chairman as we go. We'll go chairman, vice chairman, secretary. How's that?
Second your nomination, JD.
Very good. Okay. Does anybody else want to make a nomination, make a self-nomination? Can we have a roll call then to approve Janice? My vote is yes.
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 Susan, Leslie, Pat, Janice Marie?
Yes.
Did I get everybody? Lori?
Yes.
Unanimous?
I'll abstain.
You say that now. Very good. Well, that's terrific. So let's move to vice chair. Does anyone have any nominations or self-nominations for a new board person or a board person to become the vice chair? Comments?
Well, I would like to nominate Leslie James.
She can't say no.
Yeah, she can't respond.
Unfortunately, I don't think Leslie James's mic is hooked up correctly. Leslie, you could be on it's not about muting and unmuting. It is simply that I don't think it's on there. You may have to adjust some things, which we can deal with later.
But could she dial in on her cell phone and do?
She most certainly could. Yes, Janice Desmond. Yes.
Leslie has been.
I think she just said she doesn't want to be vice chair.
I believe I'm reading her lips. Leslie's declining.
Yes.
Is she?
Yeah, that's what she just said.
There you go. Leslie's giving us a sign.
Gently.
Anybody else?
I can't nominate.
You can't. Who just said can't?
I can't.
Oh, no. Somebody else have.
Well, keep in mind that we need a secretary, so, you know.
I have kept it in mind. So I guess secondarily, I would like to make a nomination for Susan Kelly.
Why did I know you were going to say that? Could I ask a question which I was going to ask? Can you just explain or outline what the response? Thank you. I really, I'm honored that you would consider nominating me. Let me say that. but can you just outline what the responsibilities would be?
Really and truly, the responsibilities are to be able to step in should the chair not be available to act in their responsibilities.
Okay, so then what are the responsibilities of the chair?
Well,
the meetings, and maybe other public issues that come up in the community. I mean, there's certain things that are probably a responsibility that fortunately we haven't had happen. Like if someone makes a complaint to town hall and it gets pushed all the way up and might eventually come over to the chair, but it's otherwise it's sort of being
Members about the agenda, I
Right.
mean, just to make sure, that there's some design involved in the meeting agenda with me.
Okay.
I mean, really,
So in other words, so Janice, what you're asking is if I'm willing to take sloppy seconds?
I was sloppy second. It worked for me.
But we should strike that.
Well, I would be very honored to do that.
Can we
Consider
strike
it
that from
first
the-
runner-up.
don't mind?
Yeah, first runner-up. And I will say, I'm going to say yes because I don't want to be nominated to be secretary.
Okay.
Second the nomination.
Oh,
but I
thank you, Leslie.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second for
Second.
Susan?
Second,
Marie, thank you. All in
I know.
favor?
Aye.
We
Aye.
have to do a roll call.
We can do a roll call. JD?
Aye is good.
Janice?
Janice. Yes, I approve. All right.
I may not be.
Yeah.
Leslie's given us a sign. Lori?
Yes.
Janice?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Marie?
yes.
Susan, you can vote if you want, but you're accepting.
I think my
Right, very
hands are tied behind my back.
There you go. Okay. Very good. Well, that's terrific. And this board needs a secretary to just take minutes on these discussions, on these meetings, and they are publicly posted. Obviously, it's a process where we take minutes on the discussion. They can be as lengthy as anyone wants them to be, but they can also be a little bit more succinct, probably. We post them publicly. We approve them on the following meeting, and they go into sort of the matter of town records. So, is there anybody who would be willing, interested to be the secretary for the board?
I would like to nominate Marie Fricker, who's a wonderful writer, and I'm sure this is right in her wheelhouse.
Well, I would like to be the secretary, but I kind of wish I could just be a member for a while to get, like, somehow I feel like it's like recording your child's dance recital and you really don't see it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm madly trying to write and record everything. Just until I got my feet wet with being a member, I want to be able to absorb everything. I'll gladly do this in a while, but I just would rather not do it, right out of the gate, because I want to just observe what's going on. I mean,
Right. So here's the thing. We need a secretary. We need the minutes taken once a month. At every meeting, we meet usually 11 times a year. I have done it. Janice Lindblom did it for quite some time. We have a lot of bunch of new members. So this is not an easy fix. So we either have somebody volunteer.
And it could be a shared responsibility.
Or we could
Could do that.
divide and conquer.
yeah.
Susan Drebich Kelly stepped in last month and took the minutes. She did a great job.
Thank you.
So
What about Laurie Brady? I nominate her.
I would be terrible at that.
Oh, you do a fabulous job.
it's really jotting down notes. We get Linda's report to rely on.
You do get video to rely on too, so that's a big help.
So you go back and you can replay
Probably the only good thing about the video.
the video to fill in the blanks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Anybody up for co-secretary? I mean, Pat, would you be interested if you could share it with someone else, and would someone else step in if they could share it?
Is that doesn't mean with
I
stop.
would be willing to share it with someone, but could I share it after the other person does it first so that I know what I'm doing a little bit in this?
Yeah. What do you think?
You know what I mean? I just want to be able to just attend a few meetings and not feel that I'm going to be madly taking down notes. You know? I mean, I'd share it with someone.
Well, I mean,
Pat or Lori, would you,
Like,
either
not
of you be willing to share with Marie?
I mean, I will if need be.
I don't think it's about, I don't
But I
think,
kind of feel the same way as Marie, is that
yeah, we're
I
new.
know
and-
enough, but I understand it's just kind of.
yeah, Pat, would you be willing to share with Laurie and Marie? So you would each, you could, it would be 3 months away from now. If you did next month, it would be 3 months later.
Once every third month.
And who's doing it today?
Good question.
Well, right now I am, but that I don't want, I'm not supposed to.
Okay.
Janice, did you not want to do it?
Who?
Janice.
I did it for quite a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, I could share it too. I mean, we could alternate.
Rotate, you could rotate among on each person pick a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that our consensus then?
Yeah.
Great.
So maybe Janice, you could do the first one, the next meeting we have, so then the new people can see what it looks like.
Want me to do tonight since
Sure.
nobody else is doing it?
That'd be great.
I'll plan on it for next month.
Yes, thank you, Janice. That would be great.
Okay, so that'll give Laurie
Marie,
and Marie 2 meetings.
Yeah.
And Laurie, this will be 3rd meeting for you, that you will sit in on, and you'll see the minutes and just get a sense of, Linda's director's report and how it all flows together.
Okay.
Great.
And it's never had to be word for word. It's the broad brushstrokes.
Right.
I would like to nominate the team of Janice, Pat, Marie, and Lori to handle rotating secretarial duties for the board. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And let's do a quick roll call. Yay.
Yes.
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 Yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you.
Yay.
Thank you all for your willingness to participate and get involved and stay involved. Much appreciated.
So just one note, I like to sometimes use initials when I'm taking notes or, writing things out. And of course, JD is easy, but now when I try to use your initials, Janice, it's also JD. So I can't do it. So it doesn't work.
I could be Ms. JD and he'll be
You
Mr.
could be, yep. The new JD. All right.
Well,
Very good. So
again, thank you all. Let's move on to Linda's director's report.
all right, everyone. Well, I did send it if you happen to see it. It's, fairly concise, I guess. Happy to report that JD and the Rotary Club, Lucille Sorrentino, former board member, I received a check for $10,000 as a donation toward the Senior Center project, in particular earmarked for the bocce court that they are helping to fund. So that donation, any large donations need to go before the Board of Selectmen for acceptance and acknowledgement. So we are doing that on Tuesday night for that donation.
We want to see summer bocce tournaments this summer.
Yeah. Well, and Mara Glancy and I were talking about that today. So even though it's just the one bocce court, which, is something, and we're very happy about that. If we wanted to do other bocce, you can do bocce on the field, on the lawn, on dirt. So we can work out a way to have tournaments for sure. I think it's very exciting. And apparently the construction of it is a little bit more than that. But that helps a great deal. And I think the town is going to be very happy about that. We do have a full color newsletter now provided through LPI for our newsletter starting in January. It does figure that, as you all know now, of course, that Lisa Thornton left, and that was one of her tasks, was to do the newsletter. For the most part, Jill and she together would do the newsletter, and we all chip in a little. But anyway, so we're slightly under the gun. LPI had really moved up our deadline, so that really it needs to be in tomorrow. And our mail house needs a longer lead time. And then frankly, the post office is not a slam dunk when you even get it to them in plenty of time. Sometimes they don't put it out the door. They have a good 8 days to get that out. So that's why some people haven't received newsletters until well into the next month, even when we've been on time. So it's a frustration, but we have decided that instead of, rushing the product out because we're trying to work with a new template and putting some good content, if we don't get it to the publisher tomorrow, it may be that we don't get it into people's hands till the second week in January. And I think in this particular case, that's probably going to be okay. So just mentioning that. But we do want to continue to do it. And with the new color, because we got a couple of new advertisers, which was very nice. I think it's, it'll be a nicer publication for people to notice in the mail when they get it and read it.
Linda, you're mailing about 1,800?
You know what? We mail less than that, actually, but partly because we deliver stacks to the housing authorities instead of mailing them individually.
Yep.
So it's closer to 1,500, and it could go up. We could do more. We get many more. We like to have them here. We distribute them to a few other public places in town normally.
Yep.
It's been a funny time for them.
Can
Sorry,
I just
Susan?
throw out a suggestion? And this is based on, a little bit off of what Marie was saying, like the South Shore News. It's the South Shore News, right?
South Shore
That's what
Senior
senior
News.
news.
Yeah, South Shore Senior News. I should know, I was in it. They do a drop off at the Village Market. And do you do a drop off for the newsletter at the Village Market?
We do. Yeah, we do put it there.
Oh,
We bring
okay.
it there.
Okay, because it must go fast then, because
I mean, the standard locations are, yes, Village Market, the library, town hall, and the housing authorities for the most part.
Yeah,
The
I just think
library
because the
Here, I think maybe
library's
last year we
closed.
did too.
Yeah, the library's not getting it anymore, so.
No,
Yeah.
I know. So it's
And the town hall, but everybody's going to the Village Market.
Yes, that's true. That's a good point.
They are.
We
They're doing
should bring
great.
double. Maybe we should bring double. Okay. Anyway, just wanted to mention that. I also some good news. I've been trying for years to get a tax season aid from AARP or volunteers, several, to come to Scituate. We would have to send people when they called, seeing if there was any help for them to complete their taxes. They'd have to go to Hingham or Marshfield. So with the coming of the new building, they were very receptive to the idea, and actually initially maybe said we would be kind of an adjunct to Marshfield, and they're doing things a little differently now with more phone assistance anyway, and maybe the drop off of the documents that are necessary for completing seniors' taxes. But it's a big step in the right direction. I had a whole conversation, and we're on the list, and not knowing just yet when we can let anyone in the space for the new building. I guess that somewhat remains to be seen, but if we are in there in time and can provide the assistance, then we can this coming year. And for sure, the following year, then we would be a full site.
I mean, given Marshfield's construction, we might no longer, we might not be the adjunct, we might be the combination.
Their construction completion date is a year from now, is next November.
So they're going to be going through,
That's
they're going to be going through, blowing out walls and all that kind of stuff in a building they're trying to use. So
that could be.
They're doing an addition, are they?
yeah.
They are. They had expected always or originally to go up to a second floor, and they found they could not do that. So they are literally building an adjunct building, so to speak,
Mhm.
adjacent or across somewhat from.
They have a
the other building.
huge parking lot there, gigantic parking
I
lot.
think that's where it's going.
Yeah.
Some of it's for field, town fields, baseball fields and athletic stuff in the way back.
Oh,
So,
they're going that away.
So in other words, AARP will send a representative or set up a site for people to have their.
Volunteers, yeah, they have volunteers that they train, yeah. So they have a system, they need a big room, they like it if they can be in one room and have a sort of scheduled amount of time for people to come in and kind of have the brief conversation just to understand the individual situations. She explained a lot of that to me. So ultimately, we would have that to provide, but
That's
in the
great.
beginning, I don't know what we'll be able to do.
that's great.
Great.
Anyway, I did, next I did include in my report a little bit about the budget. The budget requests I might have been making. It's my first time doing this, I guess, during, a difficult, challenging year financially, certainly for the town coming up. And even though for the most part, new positions weren't going to be considered, because of our new kitchen and the idea of the new senior center, and my expectation or hope, at least all along, had been to be able to staff the kitchen at least. So I was proposing in my narrative that we would like to hire a food service person, manager, chef, part-time. If we take on and can build the food service program that I have in mind, it would entail congregate dining, maybe 4 days a week, if not 5, but just that idea that there's a lunch to sit down at and be served. And there's also a cafe. So that's obviously the newer trend, but I would like to see both developed, because I do think we have a lot of older seniors who haven't had that opportunity yet for the congregate lunch. And I think it's a nice product and a nice value and a nice way to bring, a certain demographic into the center. And then thirdly would be the parallel to the Meals on Wheels or our own internal home delivered meals, because it's just been something that I personally have seen done well. And that was the model I hoped to have and promote. I didn't have specific numbers, although I suggested what I thought a salary would be. Anyway, long story short, in my budget submission to the town manager, I didn't have specific budget numbers. And then when I went before and then he asked me to provide them, which I did later. But then last night in front of the advisory committee, they were not ready to talk to me without specific budgeted numbers included in, the recommendation that the town administrator would make to them and to the Board of Selectmen. So I've been, put off until we, the town administrator, Nancy Holt, myself, can work that out. So my requests were for a kitchen manager and potentially for a home delivered meals coordinator. I also proposed that it probably would be a good spot for a tax work-off senior or two, so that we probably could begin the process that way. In addition, Social Elder Services does it now. It doesn't mean we couldn't roll that in and have them continue, at least maybe with the Meals on Wheels. The problem I've had with that is that it's in their arena, it's in their court completely. They bring on the volunteers, they interact with the clients. If there's an issue that a volunteer brings to them about a client, only they know about it, we don't know about it. And so it's a disconnect, I think, for us, not to sort of have that piece of, of those households, those seniors that, may need some additional services that we wouldn't know about. So it doesn't mean we can't do it initially and then transition later, but that's what I was proposing. The decreases to the budget, just so you're aware. So our utilities costs, which of course naturally would rise, and we were estimating what they would be for gas and electric, which has been fairly expensive anyway. But with the new building, we did estimate approximately a $50,000 increase for both of, or not increase, cost for both of those. but the town has decided to roll that all into the facilities budget. So it came out of mine. So mine still looks a little, a little level funded because that came out, you know, the salaries currently are the same unless we are able to add the kitchen manager in and any other peripheral positions. The other elimination from my current budget is for trash pickup from a dumpster, which also has been hugely expensive. We had finally worked with the waste management company to whittle it down. And of course, then COVID hit. So, you know, it's been less anyway, but we will not have a dumpster. We will have DPW picking up our barrels. So we will not be paying for that anymore. And that was getting pretty high. So increases to the budget, however, on the other side were the equipment maintenance fees, especially with all of the IT stuff coming in. A lot of items that I've not had to support before. The security system maintenance, you know, 2 copiers, the network, Wi-Fi, wide area network, I guess the fiber. So there's a lot of items straight from IT that I support once they're installed. So that was a much bigger number, $5,000 for that. And then Comcast is still estimated, but what I pay for now with one connection to a television and what I will potentially need to do in the new building still remains to be seen because the AV stuff is still pending. So I just am not completely aware yet. So I estimated it, but it's an increase for sure. The other consideration I was proposing at least was with Lisa. I was already proposing it before Lisa left. Is that position may have warranted a raise, so I was proposing that. But also the combined activities and volunteer coordinator position, I just think with the new building is, you know, they're both critical positions. We want to really increase targeting more volunteers and, you know, meaningful work for them. So I think they should be separate, even though the activities coordinator certainly warrants the 25 hours just on its own. The volunteer coordinator could be 10. That said, that particular position for the last 6.5, 7 years has been on the formula grant. And as the salary increases, you know, so does that bite out of the formula grant, and it's just a lot to continue to consume. So I was hoping maybe that they would adopt that position, however it fleshes out into the budget, into the municipal budget, as opposed to my doing it with the formula grant. If that happens, could I then have a couple of 10-hour positions, you know, 1 or 2 maybe? So that was part of my proposal. Again, this may not be the year to propose that, but that's what I was doing. I currently support the activities volunteer coordinator position at 25 hours, and I support 10 extra hours for Jill, the administrative assistant, who would be 25, but I pay 10 out of the formula grant to make her full-time. And that's been well worth it. We never like to see Jill leave. It was hard to see. So those are the positions I currently support, other than myself and Jenny, who are full-time, the transportation coordinator, who is full-time, but her salary is split between the GATRA budget and the municipal budget. So actually it looks like a part-time position on the municipal budget, but it's not. So I just thought I'd make you aware. It was an uncomfortable meeting last night when they weren't ready for me. And now it just needs to continue with Jim and Nancy as to how we could bring a food service program. I've talked to many other senior centers. Everybody does it differently. Many had good ideas. And I can just give you a range where Duxbury's line item budget for their food service program is $65,000. And that's in addition to the kitchen manager's salary. And the other salaries.
In addition?
Yep, that's separate. And I guess I'll say Cohasset's is maybe the lowest at $5,500. And they don't have a staff person in the kitchen. They use volunteers and they use restaurant chefs. Marshfield has always used volunteers and has always stayed with OCES, their Elder Services Agency. But they will change that when they have the new building, but currently that is what they do. And then I spoke with Linfield and then another woman who had gone through a whole different process. And it was very interesting. Linfield sort of splits it with the town. So given the cost of lunch, the town pays a certain amount up to a certain amount, which takes them through the first half of the fiscal year. And then the payments that come in, the revenue that comes in from the lunch patrons is enough then to carry them through the second part of the year. And she said sometimes they even have money left over. But for the most part, then they become self-supporting, so to speak, with the money coming in. And I have mentioned that, seed money, I initially asked for 25 or 30,000 because I figured, we need to set ourselves up and get it rolling. I could certainly work with 15 or 20, I think. It's just, you need someone who knows what to order, what services to put in place.
Well, I guess I would suggest, wouldn't you go in for maybe a higher, if you had.
What the ideal would be, sure. I mean, absolutely.
And, it will always be scaled back. So if you go in low, the scale back will hurt you. So where did you get left with the salaries, though, that you are now covering with the formula grant? Is that something they're taking under consideration or?
Potentially, yes. Well, the activities coordinator position, it's still an ask at this point. I don't know. It's just an ask that I have to provide in the budget itself. So I am providing that to Jim now.
So Linda, is that going to hold you back then because you don't know what you're going to be working with in terms of going forward and trying to start?
It won't hold me back. And I think there was some misperceptions on the advisory committee last night that somehow we wouldn't be able to open and operate the senior center without this particular request I was making, which was completely not the case. So prior to the senior center being, voted on, I was asked several times and I always said, well, except for kitchen staff, we are doing the job and we can continue to do the job and we will be able to provide the increased programming and services that we've, always wanted to be able to do in a larger facility. It's just the food service program that I would like to develop. And again, so that's not on any timeline, except that it would be nice to do it. Certainly we can, yep, go ahead.
Interject with two things here. One is, I know, I believe Rockland utilized a kitchen training program and brought in VOTEC kids with a manager to help train them on kitchen prep, meal prep, etc. That's number one. I mean, it may be too late to throw that idea out, but number two, what are you doing about maintenance costs?
What kind of maintenance?
Building maintenance, cleaning.
That will have custodial help more than we have now, and I believe it will be split with recreation and covered under the facilities budget for the time being.
Okay.
Anyway.
So facilities is picking up garbage, custodial, and electric.
Well, DPW, yep, highway does the rubbish, but yeah. I mean, Kevin always said facilities, it's everything with a roof, and it kind of comes under his roof, his umbrella.
Good.
So that is nice. I mean, ultimately, we'd probably roll in the custodian at some point if we ever got a full-time or a dedicated one, but right now, it'll be shared.
Did I see Barbara or Pat? Did you have a question?
I have a question. Linda, I'm confused a little bit because I thought that there were churches in the area that were doing a different lunch day all week, and that
the food, I can explain that, yeah.
What happened with that?
Well, Social Elder Services, as I've mentioned, and Joan's the liaison, so she can talk about that too. She always does talk about it. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they happen to lease space at the Harbor Methodist Church, and that's the small little lunch program that is provided through Social Elder Services. Thursdays, the Congregational Church volunteers put on a great lunch that had a lot of attendance. I mean, I think upwards sometimes to 50 people were there because it was something that they enjoyed and wanted, which is my point, that it would be very, very well taken. But we would like to have that at the senior center. So yes, you can have that all distributed. We weren't able to do it. I don't want to take it away from the Congregational Church if they want it on Thursdays. So we could do 4 days and they could do a day if they want to continue to do that. COVID's changed everything. And, one of their volunteer organizers has moved out of town. So I don't know if she's coming back to do it anyway.
Seems to me that opening the center, you might want to delay thinking about food service, which is a huge undertaking, until you get other things sort of smoothed out. That's just my recommendation, having participated a lot at Senior Center, because it really is a lot to manage.
Well, it's a big part of what we do, frankly, and we, the staff, has basically supported that function with the help of volunteers. And that is something I don't really want to have to continue to do with the extent of programs. We provide food, whether it's for a special seasonal lunch or a breakfast or a program that, is having food accompany it for some of the social aspects. So there's a lot to do. And my feeling has been if I have the kitchen manager, that is their function. And so it's a much smoother process. It's true, Barbara. I mean, it is what it is. If it's not going to happen, and as it stood, I expected that the senior center before COVID was opening in March, and we would have some months where we would still do that, where we would still just ease into it, where we would support what we could with the staff and volunteers, maybe solicit some restaurant chefs to do some lunches for us, and get to the point with the next budget cycle where I might have someone in place. So, I appreciate the comment, but it is part of it's really an important part of what we'd like to do and just haven't been able to do.
And we have a beautiful new kitchen.
Yeah,
We
That's
do.
been built
Exactly.
in cafes.
And I mean, there would be so many other uses for the kitchen, whether we have a chef in charge or not. Recreation called me today just to remind me that, yes, they would love to be able to offer cooking classes, as we could as well. We could also support meetings that community groups do that might require a meal as well. And if we had a chef in place, that's sort of an in-house, consultant that they can use for that. And it can be revenue for us as well. So not to mention just renting the facility itself. So anyway.
Okay.
Not to get too big with my explanation, but I thought maybe you'd like to know a little bit of the intent there. Moving on, I did include, a transportation report from Ann, our new coordinator, who's, it's a big position with some complexity, so she's doing a great job. We were almost down to one driver this past month. Mary was out for a bit, but we still did our supermarket runs and our out-of-town medical, both with Joe, our driver, and with Social Community Action Council. So to the tune of 118 rides total for 36 clients, some regular. The only thing we are still doing is essential transportation. So a little bit of personal, we did take a couple of people to the voting booths, and, someone who needed some extra help, who was at a doctor's office in Hanover, we helped out on the fly. So Joe was very flexible when we needed him. Also in terms of outreach, which of course there is quite a bit of that we hope going on. Jenny's client interactions, she's seen 35 virtually, 57 people total she's helped during the last month. In addition to Shine too. So I want to point that out. And again, I think Elaine was here. I have recorded that we did 12, helped 12 people with the Shine Medicare consultations. That could be in addition to the phone appointments and the prescription drug plan searches. Jenny's able to do some of those as well. I'm not sure if everything got in the system for this report. And we are still matching people up with lawyers for the complimentary Ask a Lawyer initial meeting.
Good.
And we are, again, continuing with virtual activities. The yoga's working out, so, you know, we're not gonna stop that anytime soon. Our fitness videos on SCTV are working out because something happened and a couple of them didn't play. And believe me, we heard from people. So that was kind of good to know, oh, they really are watching. So that's great. Bob Jackman, who you know, continues to do his weekly, I mean, he's hoarse half the time when he calls me because he's doing it. So continuously and for other sites as well as ours. But that's a weekly class, both through SCTV and YouTube. Our grief support group continues weekly with Susan. Our caregiver support group continues monthly with Suzanne. We did do a couple of Friday iPad trainings on Zoom, which the 6 people that did it really enjoyed and appreciated with Katie Mayo. That was at a cost, which they were happy to pay. And then we had a nutrition talk with a woman who's really very good from Big Y. So healthy eating and nutrition. Outdoors, our trail walking is extremely popular. I think it's really just everybody really enjoys each other and enjoys going to the various sites. Their last one is next week, where we got permission to go to Widow's Walk because the course is closing after this weekend. And then also we did a part 2 of the birding program that I think at least maybe did Janice, did you go to it for the second one?
No, I wasn't able to get to that one, no.
It was outdoors at the Mass Audubon site, and the first one had easily 30 people join, but the second one was a bit fewer. It was a bit colder, but people did appreciate that. And I just saw, I think I retweeted on our Twitter account, if any of you do that, about birding increases happiness. Of course it does.
Yes.
Why wouldn't it? But it's not something I was surprised to read. So that's true. So hopefully we'll do more of that. Indoors, we do have some exercise classes. So Sue Ribeiro, who does the balance class and a strength class, you know, people crave that and they want that. And she's, you know, she's doing that for 10, 11, 12 people in the gym, very spaced with masks. Also my Tai Chi, which is small, and pickleball, which, you know, they are coming and they are doing it, but some people are reluctant to do it indoors, and we'll just sort of play that by ear week to week to see if we can continue that or not.
What is that?
Our Thanksgiving grab and go lunch, I think, was, you know, at least as successful as it could be. And that's another example. We, you know, made lunches for 53 people. It was a great lunch. Thankfully, we had a donation, a substantial donation from Roach Brothers, so we could get the turkey and the cranberry sauce and the stuffing, which we made, or staff made. I spent quite a while making chocolate pudding, but anyway, so, you know, it was we had a gift bread that our volunteers in the kitchen prepared, made, and then we put that in the box as well. And they had to come here and pick it up. It was great. It was a great chance to say hello to some people, and it was a really nice product, nice lunch, but it was all hands on deck, all staff, few volunteers, and, you know, we got it out the door.
Good.
How many people got lunch that day?
53.
53.
Oh, you sold off, I mean, all 53 lunches. That's awesome.
It was a giveaway. So, you know, it was.
Yeah, so
no charge.
53 people took part. That's great.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of always, it used to be our maximum in here, but we also know the limitations of the kitchen and the staff and, you know, and the money. So in that case, there was no money coming in, of course. But it worked out well, and we were happy with that. Lastly, I just mentioned the softball league, which we've always had a softball league, very successful, managed by a single volunteer. And then it had recently, the last couple of years, gone to sort of a committee. They had their challenges this year, both with COVID and just with trying to manage without incident, because sometimes things just don't go the way you like. So they're looking at I think they're happy with the idea that they really are a Council on Aging program here in Scituate, even though they're a regional. People from other towns welcome to be in the league. I think they have upwards to 85, 90 people generally. And they play a couple of different divisions, just age-wise, they separate that out, one on the weekend, one on Fridays. Anyway, so I think, I've spent a lot more time with them and tried to help them out with a few things, and they are happy to be associated, I guess, a little bit more closely with the Scituate Senior Center Council on Aging. So that's kind of nice. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to have them. They always, we provided some resources for them and did help out where we were needed, but just, they were kind of independent before, very independent.
You're talking about a softball league.
Softball,
Are they-
what?
senior softball league, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, when does that take place?
They play, they played a few fields in town on Fridays and
Now?
Sundays.
Now?
Well, they're just finishing. I think they are playing tomorrow.
Huh?
They've been trying to draw it out as much as they could. Their official season ends the end of September. Then they try to continue to play as long as they can.
Is that
But-
co-ed or is that just women? Or?
They have had a woman or two, I am
Oh,
told.
it's mostly men then. I've
It's
seen them
mostly
play.
men. Hey, it's,
Yeah.
as women, as women who played softball continue to age, there's going to be a lot more women who want to play, I would imagine. But they have women. They would take women.
I've seen the scenes. They play by the library, right?
That's two of the
Yeah.
fields by the library. Yep.
Yep.
Fridays is the older division, just so to speak, because they can be 55 and up. So 65 and up is on Fridays, and it's a little bit younger, but anyone can play on Sundays. They can be older too if they want.
Oh, okay.
Linda, could I just ask a question on programs and availability? I mean, obviously the senior center, whether it's the current one or the new one, is not going to be open anytime soon based on Governor Baker's new rollback. But given the fact that there are some, in-house activities that are at the rec gym, that are obviously just more athletic than exercise and so forth. Do you see any possibility of the senior center for the programming to be able to use the gym for in-person meetings or events other than those that are directly related to exercise?
Do you mean now or later?
Yeah, now.
Yes, we could. We've been kind of limiting it because of bandwidth, frankly, and being able to monitor and, schedule that and take care of that, the cleaning and whatnot that has to go on before and after with each. And, it's a
I
little
see.
bit of maintenance, higher maintenance,
Right.
and it's remote. But that isn't to say no. We do have one group that is meeting in a limited fashion at the Harbor building. So that's been going well.
Yeah, like, so is the yoga on Zoom or does that still?
Yoga's on Zoom, and you know what? Basically, we think it works. It just happens to be one of those activities that seems to work for people, and there just didn't seem to be any reason to
I'm
rush.
just thinking, there's probably a number of programs that would fall into this category, but like even for the grief support group, even to be able to take a small group of 6 people or 8 people in a circle all spread out at the community center. or
Well,
something.
before this, it was looking like, yes, maybe we were inching toward that, and now, we're pulling back a little bit like everybody, and then, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
Because it
maybe
turns
not.
out that everybody in the grief support group is living in Scituate, and they're all like really wishing, the loneliness piece is the biggest part.
It's a consideration, and that is it. And that's really been the reason that we have gone live with what we've done. So it is for that reason. So yeah, I would consider it if logistically we could make it work.
Yeah.
Can I ask something? Is the senior center going to be at all involved in the upcoming vaccination programs that are coming out after February?
I have not, I would hear from our health department on that one. I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
I do not know about that, but
Because I
that's
would
a
think the
question.
seniors would be the first population. in
Mhm.
February.
They're number 2 in the COVID conclaves, but they're using CVS. CVS is going to be
Oh,
a
really?
major instrument. CVS right now, just from my other work that I do, they're looking to hire 15,000 people just for the vaccination.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Well, that'll come out of the health department ultimately. So hopefully, if
Yeah.
we can, we will. Yep. be good timing if we could. All right, well, just to very quickly, hopefully breeze through some of the other, the new building news, the FF&E, our fixture furnishings, et cetera. That order literally went in this week, which, you know, is later than our intended date, but ostensibly not affecting the outcome, which was a February 1st delivery and installation. So from the vendor, he was comfortable that we were still within our range, but that did just go in. The exercise equipment, the 4 pieces that I'm proposing, including the treadmill, which we had to have a new 20 amp floor box, electrical floor box installed. We happen to have one left over at the site, but it's still costing a little money to put it in the wall. Anyway, that's for the treadmill. So 4 pieces, I'm going before the PBC Tuesday night to ask them to allocate that money, which is just under the $10,000 budget that we were working with. Kitchen smallwares is next for me, so I haven't done that yet. Kitchen, the smallwares, not the equipment. That's taken care of through the vendor, through the contractor and the vendor, but the small stuff, the dishware and the and the kitchen cookware, things like that, and accessories. Audio visual, that's been, I don't want to say delayed, but that's part of the contract with the contractor, and there was some discrepancy on that. But that is moving forward now, and that it does include the assistive hearing system that we are getting. It is an FM, which is like a radio frequency system, which will be installed on both sides of the multipurpose room. We will also be able to use one, and if we need to, we will use it in another. Buy another one for one of the other program rooms, because we have one here, which is a smaller one, but we're getting a larger scale one for the multipurpose rooms. And I know a lot of people had asked me about the hearing loop system. I had 2 phone meetings with the audiovisual consultant, and I'm very comfortable, and he was very comfortable recommending the FM system for us, which this particular one also has the opportunity for using Wi-Fi. On your phone or tablet with a device that someone would also be able to put in their ears. One of the benefits of the FM system over the hearing loop system is that anyone can wear a neck loop or a headset that connects with the system itself. But with the hearing loop system, it only communicates with the T-coil in the hearing aid. So they're the only ones benefiting from it, and anyone else who may be having a hard time hearing does not have any opportunity to enhance their listening. So that's just one of the reasons. And honestly, I've learned so much, but then time goes by. I mean, it's complicated, but this is something where the technology is advancing, and the hearing loop system is what it is, but it's fairly staid technology, I guess, older technology, and not seeing the same advancements. There's only one way to do it, I guess. So there were some disadvantages that were noted. The guy said the last 12, he's done 12 senior centers and, did 13 senior centers, 12 were FM, and 1 was a hearing loop system. And that's the way most are going.
You're in good company.
Yep. So I'm comfortable with that. I hope everybody finds it works out. Yes?
Linda, have you ever done a real comprehensive demographic study of the number of seniors who've come there and their age groups? Like, I'm just interested only because I've attended a few functions. My husband plays the piano, as you know, and he's done it for some of the senior events. Yes. But the people that I see there are mostly they look, at least, and this is horrible, but I think they're people that are in their probably late 70s to early 80s minimum. Mm-hmm. Are there seniors like in their 60s that attend any of these events, or is there any kind of a study?
Well, everybody has their thing, so that's why you need to, provide a whole array of programs and activities and opportunities and events, because what maybe appeals to one particular set or demographic maybe is not what another would do. Hence, like the cafe versus the congregate dining. or, the various exercise classes, and sometimes lunch, but, that's a nice mixed group. I think it could be.
But have you found that a lot of the younger seniors do come and partake of the
They're
offerings?
coming to partake of more active indoor games, like Mahjong is hugely popular. I mean, that appeals to a whole range of ages and is really a little bit multi-generational when you think about it. They could be 90, 95, they could be 60, 65.
Well,
So-
I think going forward too, we have set up subcommittees in the past, and I think, that's probably needs a refresh of subcommittees and taking a look at
Sure.
who we have. But one of them, I think for this year going forward, should be on activities and taking a look at activities and maybe making some suggestions, and certainly once the center opens and
Well, let's to look at the other thing about the demographics or the ages. I mean, we have birth dates, so we can generate reports that give us a sense of who's participating and what their age ranges are, if and when it matters. But yes, we could do that if we have their birth dates, which we ask everybody for. We try to get them. So yeah, it's a good point.
All the data
it varies, and we hope it varies. I mean, we want the whole range, yes. And I mean, let's just say for pickleball, before the COVID restrictions and all, we were at a point where I was having to think about limiting those attending and participating in pickleball. And I really came to the conclusion that at least 55, and up, because they were coming younger. And, we couldn't accommodate that large a number and still get everybody on the court for the amount of time that they'd like to spend on the court. And, it was just, so I've not really done that before, but it was at the point where I think we had to think about that, because we had that. We had both. We had, believe me, all the way up to 85, 88, playing pickleball easily, if not more.
Really? I'm not even sure I know what pickleball is.
Oh my goodness. Who wants to tell her?
I don't. Before I joined this board, let me tell you.
You didn't know what it was either?
I'd never heard of it before.
There's nobody that's played pickleball who hasn't become a pickleball advocate. Would you agree, Gordon?
What is it?
Correct.
You can't try it and not love it. You can't.
What is it then? Tell me the game.
It's a little bit like tennis, but with a paddle. So it feels a little bit more like ping pong, I suppose, but with a floor. It's a floor game. So you're hitting over a net with a bouncing wiffle ball.
And someone's returning it?
Oh, yeah.
It's not hitting against
sometimes very fast.
Hopefully.
So it sounds like ping pong without a table.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you've probably seen it played, let's say on the beach, paddle on the beach without the net.
Yeah.
But now it's a little bit more formalized with, official scoring and rules. And, it's very,
I've heard that it was a huge craze, but I really meant to look it up and find out more about it.
It's a cross between ping pong and volleyball.
Really?
Well, in tennis, I would say tennis. Yeah.
Oh, tennis. Okay.
But not volleyball. Yeah. Well, only on the, what do you call it?
Are they big rackets?
No, they're paddles.
Yeah, they're just like paddles that you'd have in ping pong, little paddles.
Marie, come by Gates any morning, and you'll see at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. You'll get a feel for it.
Yeah, I'd like to move. I'd like to continue the meeting here. Let's move on.
Not about pickleball. Okay. Lastly, I did exterior. I guess they're doing the thin brick system around the building, which looks very nice if you do happen to go by and can see it. But that's ongoing. The site work, the paving's being done. They were cleaning. They cleared the parking lots and all, and we're cleaning them today. So the curbing and the paving is all being done now.
Should be
The
final.
right turn only
right now.
that was completed. So the driving aspect is ready to go. The lettering on the building, we still have to go. The architect is going before the planning board. Actually, not till January. So the Scituate Senior Center lettering, the number 333. Is proposed to just face First Parish so people can see it from the road, as opposed to being on the front of the building. But then the Senior Center logo sign is proposed at the main entrance, as sort of a welcome sign for that. And interior room signage, so I've been through all that, and I did list the room names that we're using in the report, if you got that. Lastly, you may have seen the fence that went up at the abutter line, which is really beautiful. It's really beautiful. It does stand out a little. It's a lovely color. It was supposed to be green. It does look a little blue.
Looks blue to me.
The architect did select that, and maybe, I don't know. But that said, also the stone wall and the fencing that was going around the generator is complete as well. So thankfully, that looks nice. It's certainly much more pleasing than the generator, and hopefully after a while people will stop noticing it. So that is all I have outside of the 2 reports you got for transportation, just with the numbers, but I've already mentioned the totals, and the same with outreach for Jenny. I don't know if you have any questions, if you looked at the reports at all, but again, a variety of needs that we are facilitating or coordinating. Fuel assistance is starting, but actually she's seeing less of that because they found a way to do it virtually through Social Community Action Council, and some people are able to email their documents, and they just don't need as much help as they did. So I suppose that's a good trend.
Yeah.
Linda, I didn't get a director's report. Could you send me one?
Yeah, I didn't either.
I
didn't send it till about, it might have been 4 o'clock when I sent it, 3:45, in case you
Look
didn't.
for it. I don't see it.
Okay, sorry. I will double check.
Does anyone have any questions for Linda?
Pat?
Pat?
You're on mute, hon. You're on mute. Oh, I can take you off.
Okay. The activities director,
Coordinator, yeah.
coordinator, how's that going? Filling that position?
I haven't started to pursue hiring yet until I was clear as to what the job description would be.
Oh,
So, she just left, and I'm satisfied that we can sort of move forward or start to move forward. Once we open it up, I'm sure there'd be a lot of interest, frankly. So I could even say I'd have a couple of people in mind, but we'll see how that shakes out. So that's the only reason I was delaying.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Anybody else have any questions for Linda? Okay, well, why don't we move on to liaisons? And I know Karen Canfield is not here from the BOS, so Joan Powers, South Shore Services.
Oh, things about the same. We're getting a few more people for Meals on Wheels, and we lost 2 of our drivers that moved away.
Oh.
But we're hoping to get some more drivers.
Mm-hmm.
It usually does increase in the winter.
Still doing what, 45 meals?
45 to 50. All depends on, Then we also do the bags for the Norwell.
Okay.
Because Norwell has drivers, but they don't have any volunteers for the kitchen.
Well, why don't we swap? You're doing the kitchen and get them to do some of the driving. Okay.
Everything's going good. It's going good.
Okay, good. Gordon, you've been very patient here. Any update on Build a Campus Committee?
Yeah, we're about to roll out our marketing, for the effort, both with a presentation on SCC TV and some social media, and then we'll start working on our brochure to be published and mailed probably by mid to late January. Something interesting thing came up at our last meeting, and someone said, well, Gordon and Denise have sponsored the game room. What if somebody else wanted to sponsor the game room? So I think we're not necessarily going to close off any of the rooms to just a single donor. So if somebody else wants to come along and sponsor the game room, I'm more than happy to share it with them. So we would probably get the approval, I guess, of someone who took the advantage of getting it the first time around, and asked them if they had any misgivings about sharing the the plaque on the outside of the room with somebody else. So, I mean, why should we deny ourselves the opportunity to make some additional funds if we can? So I think that's what we pretty much have decided upon. It may or may not come up, but it might. And if it does.
So can I just interrupt to ask a question? So a game room, whatever the number is, $5,000. Is that multiple people each giving 5,000?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So then the game room, each of those people have given the appropriate dollar amount, and they'll get credit.
Yes.
In this room was, donated in memory of blah, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at. Just a comment, a quick one on both what Janice said and the Pat, I think. Who's wearing the purple top? Is that Pat?
Marie.
Marie. This has come up at a few of our meetings and just in kind of discussions, I have with a lot of other fellows that I hang out with. And I think one of the reasons that maybe not as many men are participating in activities at the senior center, can be possibly programming, but also the younger men I know at 3:00 in the afternoon, they're busy doing something, maybe working. So Janice and Linda, if, this isn't going to happen today or tomorrow, but maybe at some point in the future, having the center available on an evening until 8:00, open later, so you don't run into staffing issues, open at 12 and close at 8, maybe one night a week. That might help to generate some of those younger people
That'd be good.
who were tied up during the regular hours. And I know that there are some hurdles that Linda will have to jump through to get that to happen, but that I think could help a little bit with some new faces coming into the
That was
center.
definitely always the intent. Yes, people have asked for evening. Yeah.
Yeah. So just a little side comment. So thank you. Thank you all for your support. We do have some people who are in the wings and almost ready to sign on, and we have had a few already. So.
Oh, that's nice.
That's great.
So hopefully this will be a successful campaign, but we'll need the support of everybody.
Great. Good to hear.
Glad to hear we have that. Very nice.
Elaine, did you have any thoughts?
I have, we have not been super active. We were just deposit on a pool table, but that kind of is on hold right now. The veneer that was.
We'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back.
Pardon?
We'll be back to you on that, Elaine. We'll be back.
Okay, great. Other than that, we have been fairly inactive. Just everything's going along as, and we've been working closely with Gordon on Build a Campus.
Okay, great.
Great.
Okay, very good. Well, we're closing in on 7:00. Does anybody have any other old business or new business to bring up? I don't see any hands. Our next meeting will be January 14th, I believe, in 2021. So, given that we're for holidays, have everyone have a happy holiday and a healthy, successful new year, and we'll see you next year.
All right. Thank you all for
Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for being with us. Thank you, people.